So, Hambone, I alerted you earlier that I was going to ask you a question. But first, hi, welcome to Talking to You. I'm host Eric. I'm here with Rachel and Hambone. And the question I was going to ask you is, do you have any advice for INTPs your age or potentially younger that you think is probably applicable? And also, I asked you to consider different sort of scopes of advice that one might address.
Well, like I said in a live stream, I think the best thing for INTPs is when presented with an opportunity to have an experience or make a memory or just be with your friends, just say yes, because we're not very good at going out and creating those things for ourselves. So it helps to trust in that FE and trust that your friends will take care of you and not lead you down a wrong path to an extent. And I guess I'd also say that it's okay to want things for yourself, because INTPs, I think, devalue their own FI and their own wants and their own feelings. So figuring out what you want on a couple different levels is helpful.
So, what do you think are areas in which people tend to seek and receive advice? And which of those areas do you think are INTPs likely to receive a lot of unwanted, unsolicited advice? There's wanted, unsolicited advice. There's solicited advice. In other words, unsolicited advice that you actually go, actually, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
And then there's, wanted, solicited advice is wanted definitionally. But regardless, where do you think, like, INTPs probably are going to hear advice they don't need or want to hear and shouldn't listen to?
Probably when it comes to matters of FI, telling an INTP what they want is never a good idea, because in your 8th slot, I think you don't want to be pressured in it.
Right.
So when people try to make assumptions about what I want to do, so that's also why I'm generally uncomfortable giving advice to other people, even other INTPs, because I don't want to intrude in their own decision-making process.
Okay. What if I were to ask you for advice like as follows? I were to say, I need a really tender cut for Grandma tonight, because she has dentures. What do you advise, Butcher Man?
Really tender cut?
Do I get this flank steak? Is that tender?
No, you want to go tenderloin. That's the most tender.
Tenderloin's the most tender.
I don't. Yeah, it's right in the name.
We had that steak the other night, Rachel, remember?
Yes, we
had
did.
tenderloins. My dad bought them for us. He's like, got you a present. Anyway.
That's nice.
Okay, so you don't feel generally giving advice, meaning...
Giving advice about well, if you need a specific thing for a situation, like a cut of meat for dinner, that's the kind of advice I'd be comfortable giving, just because I know a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
But as far as telling people what they should be doing with their life, or even how to handle relationships and things like that.
Hambone, I need you to give me some advice. What religion should I follow?
Yeah.
I have to pee.
All right, you go pee. Do you need the key? Oh, can you give her the key?
Yes.
Thank you. Supers. One
So it seems as though a fair amount of INTPs struggle a little bit with the sense of maybe self-concept, or you might want to put it as like a sense of their identity as an action taker. And some INTPs can struggle with depression and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to me as though you are struggling from depression at all, but it does seem that you are an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you think that the type is the introversion is especially prone to just sort of blue moods and stuff, or do you feel subject to that at all?
I have in the past for stretches of time, like ever since I graduated high school, I've not really been in that state of mind. But I just think that the way that introversion plays out, you're more likely to be alone, and that contributes to depression. Being preoccupied with yourself, maybe.
I see. So, what advice would you have for ENTPs?
For ENTPs?
Yeah.
In general?
Yeah, in general.
Well, for ENTPs, I'd say if somebody gives you a TE tip, take it to heart. Don't be like don't dismiss it right away. There are some TE tips that are maybe excessive, but especially from like ISTJs or INTJs.
I try to listen to INTJs.
Yeah.
So, INTJs or ENTJs are also sometimes able to give me specific enough pieces of advice that are useful. The problem with a lot of TE suggestions is they involve a lot more follow through than it might seem when the suggestion is made, you know, or they might be successful but require me to persist in them for long stretches of time. I have to be realistic about myself too. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, obviously, it's a continual problem for me, because if you don't value doing things effectively and efficiently and purposefully for purposeful outcomes, then you probably aren't going to attain very many. So how about generationally? I'm almost 50 years old. You're 20. And I had the very, very pleasant experience of interacting with your family and them being very welcoming and happy and nice and everything, and not suspicious of why I wanted to visit their son.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's happened in the past. And, you know, it's just for perfectly innocent reasons. But I understand it's kind of a weird world, man. People think people are weird. But anyway, so that was, his family's delightful. Anyway, so what was I saying?
Generational.
Oh,
advice.
generational things, right. So what are some observations from your generation that you might think are qualities that are different from my generation, Generation X? There's probably 2 generations between us. I mean, there's 1 generation between us. There's you're not a millennial, right?
Mm-mm.
You're a Zoom?
Gen Z, yeah.
Gen Z. Okay, so difference between your generation and mine, or your generations and Rachel's. Or thoughts on generation dynamics in general?
Well, I don't know if I'd have any advice that pertains to Gen X in particular.
This is observations about the differences, not advice.
Oh, okay.
Just any observations you have about the generations, the respective generations. If you have any advice, that'd be fine. But if you had any observations, is
okay.
what I specifically asked for.
Observations. I think that Gen Z right now isn't far along enough yet in their development and their experience to have distinguished themselves from the other generations in a very meaningful way. So Gen Z to me seems like a blank slate, or maybe I think Gen Z's been able to learn about the world much quicker than any other generation before, just because of ease of access to information through the internet. Like, even millennials didn't get easy access to the internet until they were in their teens, roughly.
Well, I mean, Delilah was born in 1998, and
she's really late millennial, though, right?
Oh yeah, I don't think she is a millennial. She might be. She's 22. No, she's 21 right now. She's almost the same age as you. She's probably a Zoomer too.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, you're right. Like, Rachel grew up with didn't have technology right from the beginning. Like she didn't have when she was born in 1985, there was not much. There was no internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning part of her life, she didn't have it. Whereas Zoomers were actual digital natives.
Yeah. Another thing I've noticed between Gen Z, Y, and Gen Xers, I think all kind of have the same problem, which is we don't know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Like I think as society gets more open to different perspectives and different ways of being, it's less focused in that it doesn't give as clear a path for each individual. So
it's less confining, but less defining as well.
Right. Yeah.
And that makes people feel lost.
Yeah.
I don't feel lost. Well, Corduroy, you're an arms dealer. Yeah. Maybe you should become an arms dealer too. Then you wouldn't feel lost. What generation are you, Corduroy? I'm from the greatest generation. You're a World War II veteran? Yeah. I fought at Guadalcanal. You fought at Guadalcanal? Yeah. You don't look nearly old enough to be part of the greatest generation. Corduroy is claiming to have fought at Guadalcanal, Rachel.
Excuse me?
I don't believe him.
I don't believe him either.
You don't believe him.
What makes you think that you would get away with that?
He just punched me. Did you see that?
No.
I did not punch him. Did you see me punch him?
Don't you know.
Better.
Do you
You
have
did
any
not.
guns on you?
You did not see me punch him. Yeah, I'm an arms dealer. Of course I got guns. You lucky I just punched you. You just said you didn't punch me. I was lying. You punched me again. Anyway, I'm sorry.
He's always doing it while I'm looking away. That's very sneaky of you.
Corduroy. Can you please not interrupt our interview?
He could have just been, I don't know,
Right? He could have done
fixing your hair,
anything.
right?
He needs to stop. I don't need to do shit, Eric. Okay, Corduroy.
Nice.
Okay. You don't want to boss him around. Are there any other generational observations or other things that you thought about maybe discussing before I got here that you haven't discussed yet?
I didn't really have an expectation for what was going to happen when you got out here. I probably should have been thinking about topics, but as far as observations go, I don't know. Rachel, are there any big differences that stand out to you between Gen Y, X, and Z?
Ooh. Gen Y is who? Me?
Yeah, millennials is Gen Y.
Okay, so Gen X. So I'm 1985. So I'm an early Gen Y. I do see differences. Yes.
For the record, Y is millennial and Z is Zoomers.
Yes, and that would be you, right?
Y means millennial.
There's a lot more introverts who are Gen Z, I noticed. They're not as concerned with relationships, but they, like, in general, just, like, want to have a good life.
You say relationships, you mean romantic relationships?
Yes. Yeah. But
VP interface occasions, those are called.
yeah, what?
VP interface occasions?
What is that?
Badge penis interface occasions. Also known as
Yeah.
sexual intercourse.
But I see anxiety as, I know, one other, well, he's cusp millennial. It's interesting. I see, Gen Z being more placid, than millennials. Millennials are, whacked out.
Gen
I
X.
just had an idea. Do you think depression is a symptom of too little experience and maybe anxiety or perspective? Too little perspective, and anxiety is maybe a symptom of too much perspective? Because anxiety would seem to manifest when you're overthinking things.
Well, or
And depression seems to be something that if thinking about things wouldn't really help it at all.
I mean, I've been in periods of downness on occasion in the past, and typically I find it leads me to want to lay around and do nothing.
Yeah.
As far as anxiety goes, if you want to call stress and anxiety kind of the same thing, it's like then there's one answer. If you think anxiety is some sort of like specific kind of word that means totally inappropriate response to something that's a different meaning, you know. So it's like I've been plenty stressed out and anxious about stuff at work, but I wouldn't say I'm suffering from anxiety. And
well, anxiety would be more of an irrational fear fear of something that might happen, rather than things that are present or maybe just overblowing situations.
I can identify with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Sometimes it can be like I catastrophize. I definitely do. 100%. Yeah. For sure. Gen X. Well, you're the only Gen Xer I know.
yeah, we're a small generation. You can tell we're cool because we're the only generation wearing sunglasses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're known as slackers, and I definitely see that too.
Oh yeah.
But
right.
also millennials are known as slackers as well by a lot of people. So.
Zoomers are slackers too. They like to pretend they're not with their internet side hustles. Or whatever.
Right, exactly. No, you're right. So overall, I would say no, we're all human and we're pretty much alike. The only thing that changes things is maybe pop cultural references.
Yeah.
There are going to be things that I know that he doesn't know. He speaks to his phone mostly. I mostly am like thinking it's my computer. And
there's a big difference. Gen Xers, I think, in general, do not like to type on their phones.
No, they don't.
Because that came about too late in their life, and they've never learned to make their fingers play with things that small.
I never use the PC to look up things on the internet. I'm always using my phone. It
I
just
am
seems
too.
more convenient.
That's a big difference between generations. It is. But you're more likely, I think, even than me to have to use the phone. Do you care about size? Do you like a big phone?
Yeah, I like to be able to see what I'm reading.
Yeah. No, I know. My phone is starting to get a little bit, like the keypad, I'm getting a little bit like frustrated with it. I'm looking to upgrade to a larger phone. Yeah, the next phone I'm going to get is definitely going to be larger.
As long as you have the pocket space.
It's got to be, yeah, you're right about that too.
Okay, so do you have any other areas you want to cover here real quick? Or, you know, any other thoughts before we wrap this video up and go inside? Or Rachel, do you have any other questions you want to ask him for this video before we go inside? Do you like it better, asparagus or broccoli?
I think bad asparagus is worse than bad broccoli.
What about good?
Good. So I like good asparagus better than any broccoli.
Okay, so the answer is asparagus.
Yeah.
Assuming each of these vegetables is competing in its best manifestation. Okay, so now let's put asparagus against artichoke. What do you like better?
Asparagus.
What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh?
Yeah.
Jokes and humor.
Jokes and humor. Yes. Exactly. Live streams.
Jokes and humor.
Live streams make you laugh? Live streams make you laugh?
Yeah, when
That's
it gets
great.
in that, like, those late night live streams.
Oh my god, are the late night?
It's goofy.
Right?
When Eric hasn't slept for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Does make me
goofy.
laugh.
Yeah, me too. I laugh all the time. I told him that, like, he's just naturally funny, right? Like, I told him that there's this live stream, and it seems mean, but it's not. It's so funny. He was going on and on about his, like, breakup with Kimberly, and he was, like, just, like, so, like, you could tell he was just, like, glum. And he was, like, pulling kind of an Eeyore. But there was this cigarette butt. Not a cigarette, a full cigarette. Like hanging off his lip like this. So he's like, bah, 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 bah. Bah, 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 bah. And like, you see the cigarette like flicking as he's like glumming. And then like finally it falls off and finally he realizes like, oh yeah, I was gonna smoke a cigarette. Like, I was like, that is so funny. Yeah, it woke me up. It woke me up out of my sleep actually.
Yeah. That physical humor is pretty funny when
Yeah.
it's not forced.
All of it is so funny. When Countess comes in and she's like 5 people. What?
I mean, physical humor is, I generally don't like it unless it's okay, in Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, this is kind of physical humor in a way. They went to this apartment 2 in this building, and Steve Martin, the detective, says the apartment smelled like the number on the door. That's a good use of the visuals and the humor, right? But it's still fundamentally a meaning-based joke. I don't like pratfally humor, like boing, ow, like three.
Oh, me neither.
Terrible.
I won't watch that. No.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for watching. I'll probably edit the video a little bit.